Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 75, 616, Facing the Demon Race. 75th of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Silence hung heavy in the air. Li Wei seemed to understand. He slowly rose, clasped his hands in another respectful bow, and sighed. After returning, this disciple will report this matter to the sect. Farewell. He opened his insect pouch, collected the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors, tossed the heavenly spiritual child into his gourd, and turned to leave, wishing he had more legs to run faster. Whoosh. A bone-chilling, icy wind erupted from the black figure, surging toward Li Wei and engulfing him from behind. It coiled around him, dragging him toward the bottom of the sacrificial pit. Li Wei reached for the paper talisman in his sleeve but ultimately abandoned the attempt, deciding not to use the divine sword talisman. If the divine sword talisman could kill this soul remnant wraith, Yu Yaozi would have instructed him to use it long ago. His body lost all sense of weight, the world spinning wildly around him. After what felt like an eternity, Li Wei crashed to the ground with a thud. He immediately rolled to his feet, drawing his sword in one hand and his spear in the other, scanning his surroundings. The gray mist here had thickened into an inky blackness, the deathly energy attacking his flesh, overwhelming his protective spiritual chi and spiritual light. The ground beneath his feet was riddled with cracks. At the center of the fissures lay a corpse, nailed to the ground with a rusted metal war blade piercing its heart. The gray mist in the area emanated from the wound, thick with death chi. Simultaneously, faint strands of thunder and lightning trickled from the corpse's ancestral field, emitting a faint glow. It was clear without guessing, this must be Ancestor Xuanhuan of the Thundercloud sect. Even after 20,000 years, the power within his corpse hasn't completely dissipated. How high must his cultivation have been in life? As this thought crossed Li Wei's mind, a black figure reappeared, standing beside the corpse and the metal war blade. The figure pointed at the corpse's ancestral field. Bring the Golden Cloud Thunder Seal and the 9 Heavens Thunder Annihilation Sword. Back to the sect. Li Wei felt the oppressive aura, but as a martial mystic cultivator in the immortal realm, he could withstand it. He cautiously approached as instructed. Reaching within 3 meters, Li Wei released a bolt of thunder and lightning from his fingertip, striking the corpse's ancestral field. From within, he retrieved a golden thunder seal and a leather-bound book. Even if he was immensely powerful in life, after 20,000 years, the power within his corpse has nearly completely dissipated, leaving only a lingering aura of power. Li Wei found no heavenly cores or similar artifacts within the ancestral field of the remains, indicating they had long since dissipated. Moreover, the ancestral field had severely atrophied, reduced to a mere thunder pool. Logically, a powerhouse of this caliber should have possessed an ancestral field as vast as a lake or sea. The Thundercloud sect possessed 4 myriad inscriptions artifact thunder seals: gold, crimson, azure, and violet. Legend held that when these 4 seals were combined, they formed a supreme artifact. After obtaining the Golden Cloud Thunder Seal and the iron-bound book, 9 Heavens Thunder Annihilation Sword, Li Wei clutched them tightly to his chest, tears welling in his eyes. He prostrated himself once more. Ancestor, your disciple will bring you home. With these words, I can finally rest in peace. The black figure's aura of sorrow vanished instantly, its form dissipating like wind-blown clouds into the gray mist. True to his word, Li Wei mustered all his strength and pulled the heavily rusted war blade from the remains' chest. It was so heavy that even with his current power, he struggled to wield it. This must be another treasure. After storing the rusted blade and Xuanhuan's remains in his cosmic pouch, Li Wei swiftly departed, sprinting toward the surface. He had initially considered releasing his 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors to search the sacrificial pit for transcendence remains or treasures that had endured for millennia, hoping to strike it rich. Whether it was because the soul remnant wraith had dissipated or not, the strange yin fiends within the sacrificial pit erupted completely, with no force left to suppress them. The chi released by some of these strange yin fiends reached the great immortal level, manifesting as pure ghost flame. Li Wei, wielding the yellow dragon sword, charged through the fray. He leapt into the air and returned to the surface just before a great immortal level strange yin fiend could catch up. Boom. The 5-headed strange yin fiend, restrained by the sacrificial pit's power, let out a miserable shriek and plunged back into the depths. Standing at the edge of the sacrificial pit, Li Wei glanced back at the swirling gray mist below and muttered to himself, after 20,000 years of gestation, it's no wonder such terrifying monsters have emerged. Just how powerful was the Void Ruins Empress back then, to still be able to imprison them even now? Grand Palace Master, you were lying to me earlier, weren't you? Was I? Yu Yaozi's voice echoed in his mind. Li Wei retorted, if you can transmit your willpower into the blood-mud space, you can certainly release your psychic radiance. I know you're trying to test my courage. Having left the sacrificial pit, he could finally activate the Dao Ancestors Tai Chi fish. Li Wei sent Qin Yuan and the rusty war blade into the blood-mud space, asking Yu Yaozi to examine them for hidden dangers. I'll examine them, but the war blade is mine, Yu Yaozi declared. Li Wei immediately recognized the blade's extraordinary nature. We survived this crisis entirely thanks to your guidance, Grand Palace Master. Sharing the spoils is only fair. The sacrificial pit seems to contain the remains of many powerful figures. Why not collaborate? I'll handle the laborious task of searching, while you deal with those strange yin fiends. Yu Yaozi's voice echoed from within the blood-mud space. Let's discuss it later. There's no rush. Once we conquer the Void Ruins ancient kingdom, everything here will be ours anyway. Qin Yuan's remains show no abnormalities. The Nine Heavens Thunder Annihilation Sword is a lost imperial technique of the Thundercloud sect, perfectly suited for your cultivation. You should try it. Li Wei hadn't had time to examine it yet. A sword technique. A thunder technique. It's based on the Thunder Annihilation formation and can truly unleash its power. Legend says its lightning strikes are like unfathomable swords, moving wherever your willpower directs. Cultivating it to the 9th layer is said to allow one to slay even the martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor, Yu Yaozi explained. Li Wei pulled out the iron-bound book and flipped through its pages. Does this mean I've become entangled in karma? Entangled in karma. By impersonating a Thunderclap sect disciple and stealing their inheritance. Remember why Qin Yuan and the others came to the Void Ruins ancient kingdom all those years ago, Yu Yaozi said, her mind clear and free of Li Wei's doubts. Li Wei made a decision, regardless of his past actions, whether it was a misunderstanding or not. Since I've obtained the Golden Cloud Thunder Seal and the Nine Heavens Thunder Annihilation Sword, I must honor my promise and return him to the Thundercloud sect. The ruins of the city surrounding the sacrificial pit were shrouded in a gray mist. A group of Immortal Realm martial mystic cultivators from the Rice Palace had gathered at the edge of the mist, near the crater where Xuanhuan and Li Wei had previously clashed. Wu Hongling stood gracefully atop a massive boulder, her ears perked, listening intently for any sounds from within the sacrificial pit. As the sounds grew fainter, a flicker of emotion crossed her eyes, and she sighed softly. Ever since learning that Li Wei's ancestral field had not been destroyed and that he had broken through to the Immortal Realm, Wu Hongling had eagerly anticipated meeting him again. In her eyes, Li Wei was an intriguing individual, a peerless genius. Despite the deep-seated hatred between Li Wei and the Rice Palace, she found herself unable to harbor any resentment toward him. The sacrificial pit has fallen silent. Junxin declared, his towering frame radiating an icy blue light as he let out a hearty, triumphant laugh. Li Wei must be dead. No one could possibly survive that place. The purple-clad woman gazed across the water at the opposite shore, where thunderous roars echoed from within the nether spiritual mist. The Taiyan sect and the Nether Realm of the Dead are attacking the Sentinel Spirit Army's garrison. Should we intervene? Yu Baoyuan's expression turned solemn as he shook his head slightly. Luo Yinji's cultivation is so formidable that even if Shui and I joined forces, we might not be able to defeat her. And then there's the four-eared ghost monkey Marquis to consider. Exactly. Yu Shui agreed, even the human race's own forces wouldn't dare get involved. Why should we wade into this muddy water? Yu Baoyuan abruptly stood up. Let's go. Sheng Wulian's demise is actually a good thing. It will prevent him from continuing to covet Miss Hongling's Northern Life Sea map. His words carried a hint of flattery. The fact that a peak third Immortal Realm expert would flatter someone spoke volumes. While Wu Hongling's exceptional beauty had attracted countless suitors within the Rice Palace, the more significant reason was her true disciple-level talent. By the time their training in the Void Ruins ancient kingdom concluded, it would be difficult to predict who would emerge stronger between her and Yu Baoyuan. Clang. A piercing sword clang, accompanied by a resonant dragon's roar, erupted from within the sacrificial pit myriad burial zone. That's Li Wei's chi. He's engaged in combat with the demon race experts guarding the pit. Impossible. How could he have climbed out of the sacrificial pit? And if he did, why didn't he quietly use the governor's robe's spatial evasion to escape? Let's go investigate. The Immortal Realm martial mystic cultivators of the Rice Palace exchanged glances before activating their body techniques and rushing forward, fearing they would miss even Li Wei's shadow, as had happened before. Amidst the gray, deathly mist, Li Wei stood proudly, sword in hand. At his feet lay the corpse of a massive, dozens of meters long demon, its bird-like head severed and fallen some distance away. Blood stained the earth crimson. With a single strike, he had decapitated a demonic avian cultivator at the third realm of the Immortal Realm. He then opened his cosmic pouch and stored the demon's corpse, along with a 4th-grade 1000 inscriptions artifact. 4 powerful demon race warriors surrounded him, all in human form. They frantically channeled their spiritual chi to activate the spiritual artifacts hovering above their heads, retreating in palpable dread. Li Wei exuded an air of effortless composure, radiating confidence. This aura, combined with the awe-inspiring sword strike he had just unleashed, was truly terrifying. Whoosh. Boom. The four spiritual artifacts, enveloped in glowing clouds of scripture, vibrated with earth-shattering power. They converged on Li Wei from four different directions. He didn't flinch. A dense, clear radiance of immortal haze surged from his ancestral field, forming a luminous barrier before him. The barrier intercepted all four artifacts, halting them midair. He's broken through to Great Immortal Realm. A demon race woman at the peak of the Third Immortal Realm paled, her composure shattered. She had never witnessed anyone below the Great Immortal Realm block the combined assault of four major artifacts with mere spiritual qi. Then we'll use the Dao technique bestowed by our founding ancestor to slay him and avenge the fallen, she declared. The other Third Immortal Realm peak cultivator present was a crane-headed demon race man. He shed his spiritual artifact cloud robe, revealing a muscular upper body. Ripples of spatial distortion radiated from the ancestral field. Whoosh! After blasting the four spiritual artifacts away, Li Wei shattered the battle technique intent lock imposed by the four Third Immortal Realm experts. Moving with lightning speed, he flashed past the crane-headed man. A sword gleamed. Thwack! The crane-headed man's protective scripture flickered once before being sliced through. His body flew apart. A thin line of blood appeared across his abdomen, severing him in two. The ancestral field was breached. With a thunderous roar, the Azure Wind Dao technique bestowed by a Great Immortal Realm demon race ancestor erupted from the field, instantly tearing the severed corpse into fragments. Uncontrolled blades of Azure Wind surged in all directions. Screams echoed through the air. The three demon race powerhouses near the crane-headed man reacted too slowly and were all gravely wounded by the Great Immortal Realm Dao technique. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 76, 617, Li Wei's True Strength. 76th of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The Great Immortal's Dao technique was no ordinary feat. Even with the crane-headed man's death, causing the technique to lose its focus and scatter in all directions, its power remained terrifying and absolutely untouchable. The demon clan's great immortal ancestor spent over a decade of cultivation to conceal this Dao technique within his ancestral field, Li Wei mused inwardly. He intended to use it as a last-ditch deterrent, threatening mutual destruction to intimidate his opponents and force them to retreat. By activating it in such a reckless manner, without maintaining a safe distance, he foolishly believed his mastery of this killing technique would make him invincible. Li Wei shook his head inwardly, his spiritual qi surging through his body. He transformed into a wisp of azure mist, forming a cloud bridge to escape into the distance. Dodging left and right, he manipulated the 6 pages of the Earth Book as shields to block the azure wind blades hurtling from behind. Swish! Swish! On the ground, the Great Immortal Dao technique's wind blades carved shocking fissures into the earth. While the killing technique was formidable, successfully executing it, locking onto the enemy and striking them, was far from easy. Such a powerful Great Immortal Dao technique was not something every demon cultivator possessed. Therefore, once the force of the Great Immortal Dao technique had been fully unleashed, Li Wei turned his attention to pursuing the 3 severely wounded demon clan powerhouses who were attempting to flee. Maintaining a safe distance, he unleashed waves of energy from his Sihang Enlightenment finger. The 3 demons joined forces, channeling their combined power into their spiritual artifacts to dispel the finger energy. The Ibis clan Beauty, a peak Third Immortal Realm demon cultivator, sensed Li Wei's hesitation after witnessing the Great Immortal Dao technique. She screamed out coquettishly, "Li Wei, if you pursue us further, we'll unleash our trump card killing techniques together. No matter how high your cultivation, you'll meet your end. Pursuing us to the bitter end benefits no one." Another Third Immortal Realm demon cultivator snarled, his voice fierce but his resolve wavering. Li Wei saw through his bluff instantly. "More Great Immortal Dao techniques. Show me a wisp of its power, or I won't believe you." Li Wei projected a radiant Buddhist Dao imprint, its golden light and profound Buddhist aura sending the 3 powerhouses spinning in different directions, scattering them like broken puppets. The beautiful Ibis clan demoness received special attention, her bones cracking and popping incessantly under the pressure. A massive Buddhist Dao imprint-shaped crater was imprinted on the ground. Li Wei had been using them to test his current martial mystic combat strength at the early second realm of the Immortal Realm. Unable to assess his power against an established standard, he could only verify it through actual combat. The 3 demon clan experts felt a pang of dread. Where had all those offensive killing techniques come from? Their earlier display had been nothing but a bluff. "Li Wei, your luck is truly remarkable." The 6-colored peacock's resonant voice boomed across the battlefield. Spreading its massive wings, it soared into the air, radiating the primordial vital energy of an ancient immortal giant beast. From afar, it unleashed its 5th-layer great technique, the 6-colored profound nether claw. 6-colored spiritual qi erupted forth, coalescing with hundreds of thousands of shimmering immortal sutra scriptures to form a nebula-like giant claw. The Immortal Realm martial mystic cultivators of Rice Palace rushed to the vicinity. Such potent vital energy from an ancient immortal giant beast. The six-colored peacock has fully awakened its bloodline power. It has cultivated its fifth layer great technique to minor mastery. Such comprehension is exceedingly rare among beings under 100 years old. Li Wei raised his Dao sword overhead, its blade shimmering with 9 secret characters that summoned 6 Jia Yang lightning. With a horizontal slash, he unleashed a river of sword chi and lightning that shattered the six-colored profound nether claw into a swirling mist. The residual force of the sword chi struck the six-colored peacock, its feathers glowing with immortal light to defend against the blow. Yet even so, plumes of peacock feathers were blasted away. The six-colored peacock was utterly terrified. It had never imagined Li Wei could suddenly become so overwhelmingly powerful. Instantly shrinking its massive form into human shape, it plummeted toward the ground miles below, desperate to avoid becoming a stationary target. Yu Baoyuan, who had arrived nearby, felt his scalp tingle and his legs tremble uncontrollably. He blurted out a question even he didn't believe: could he have truly achieved the great immortal realm breakthrough? Earlier, when they had heard a demon cultivator shout about a great immortal realm breakthrough, the Rice Palace disciples had dismissed it as nonsense. Even with Li Wei's rapid cultivation progress, such a feat seemed impossible. But now, witnessing firsthand how a single sword strike had shattered the six-colored peacock's ultimate technique in its bloodline's immortal light defense, any third immortal realm martial mystic cultivator would tremble at such overwhelming power. Among the demon clan, cultivators who had awakened the bloodline of ancient immortal giant beasts were universally recognized as the apex predators within their respective cultivation realms. He was only weaker than the Heavenly Emperor's disciples and the true disciples of the ancient sects, all within the same cultivation realm. The third immortal realm. He's reached the third realm of the immortal realm. Another Ji Junxiang level expert. Reaching the third immortal realm makes one virtually invincible. Junxin's voice trembled, his fear now overwhelming his desire for revenge against Li Wei. Yu Shui added, he's definitely broken through. At the ruins of Yayan Pass, I was confident I could withstand a move or two from him. But now, even if we brothers joined forces, we'd likely lose more often than win. The purple-clad woman's emotions were a tangled mix of joy and unease. How could his cultivation advance so quickly? Perhaps he found the Chun silkworm, Wu Hongling scoffed, her beautiful, mist-laden eyes gleaming with a peculiar light. His luck is infuriating. She resolved to seek out Li Wei again, hoping to borrow some of his fortune. In the East Sea, she had already borrowed the Buddhist Tao imprint and the North Life Sea map. In her eyes, Li Wei was the true young heavenly emperor, his life destined to be filled with legends and opportunities. By aligning herself with him, she could latch onto the trajectory of fate itself. Just as a great rock soars on the wind, even the nearby branches and leaves could ascend to the heavens. Boom! Li Wei clashed with the six-colored peacock, who had transformed into human form. A heaven-turning palm seal sent the peacock blasting backward dozens of yards. The six-colored peacock wore claw-shaped spiritual artifacts on both hands, forged from the claws of a transcendent demon beast and inscribed with over 6,000 scriptures, granting them immense power. Yet even these artifacts couldn't withstand Li Wei's attack. The six-colored peacock felt as if its arms were about to break, and a mouthful of blood chi threatened to erupt from its internal organs. How could a physical body nurtured by the bloodline of an ancient immortal giant beast be inferior to that of a human in the early stages of the third realm of the immortal realm? The six-colored peacock struggled to accept this reality. Someone lend me a hand. The six-colored peacock noticed that the three demon clan powerhouses had already fled deep into the gray mist. Regretting its rash decision to rush here without assessing the situation, it turned its gaze toward the Rice Palace cultivators. I advise you not to meddle in matters that don't concern you. Li Wei's eyes flashed like lightning as he glanced into the gray mist. With a casual wave of his sword, he unleashed a crescent-shaped blade of bright yellow sword chi that shattered the six-colored peacock's protective spiritual chi and scripture defenses, showering the ground with demonic blood. Yu Baoyuan quickly clasped his hands in a bow. We're just here to watch the show. We haven't even thanked you properly for your kind warning at the ruins of Yayan Pass, Brother Wei. Let's catch up properly after you're done here. Wu Hongling smiled coyly, her voice sweet and seductive. Earlier, Chu Yutian tried to capture the six-colored peacock as a mount. It already used its trump card to survive. The six-colored peacock never imagined the Rice Palace's martial mystic cultivator would be so spineless. Not only did they refuse to help, they were now kicking it while it was down. Whoosh! The six-colored peacock's iridescent wings shimmered with immortal light, conjuring a sudden gale. Activating its evasion Dao technique, it vanished in an instant, fleeing through the gray mist. Li Wei's scriptures buzzed around him like cicadas in summer, his movements as fluid as mist as he gave chase. Each scripture he had comprehended through cultivating the clear void cicada chase step manifested as a cicada, each one profoundly mystical. Shedding all restraint, he closed in for the kill. Bang! Li Weiyi's sword strike shattered the six-colored peacock's escape technique. Blood splattered anew as the creature plummeted toward the water's surface like a kite with a severed string. The familiar sensation of imminent danger surged through it. Li Weiyi stopped at the water's edge, abruptly turning and drawing his sword. Boom! A thumb-thick 1,000 inscriptions artifact arrow shot through the air, striking the yellow dragon's sword. The sword's blade bent inward like a drawn bow. Li Weiyi retreated several steps, dispersing the arrow's impact and sending it flying to embed itself dozens of meters away. Compared to the dangerous ambush he had faced a year and a half ago, he now handled such threats with ease. A dark demonic cloud surged rapidly along the West City waterway's bank, its oppressive presence looming. Within the cloud, Xuanhuan sheathed the Emperor Bone Jade bow into his ancestral field. Gripping a palm-wide blood-red blade, he roared, "Li Weiyi, you've gone too far. Stealing the millennial essence herb already claimed by the Demon Kingdom and injuring our people. Even as a member of the Sentinel Spirit Army, you must answer for this." Li Weiyi knew Xuanhuan was seeking a pretext to attack the Sentinel Spirit Army. "Your Excellency, as the foremost expert in the frontier army beneath the great immortal of the demonic kingdom, you might learn from your nation's scout Lord Wenrenting Hai. A touch more arrogance and candor would make you far more admirable." Swish. Before his words had even finished echoing, Li Weiyi activated the Purple Heaven Thunder Seal, secretly channeling its power to unleash the myriad inscriptions artifact's true power. Instantly, violet lightning filled the sky, transforming the water's surface into a crackling cage of electric patterns that crashed down upon the six-colored peacock, who was fleeing across the water in its true peacock form. The six-colored peacock roared in fury, desperately unleashing its spiritual chi and immortal sutra scriptures. The myriad inscriptions artifact's strike shattered half its body into a bloody mist. With a final, agonizing shriek, the peacock plummeted into the water. A peak third immortal realm expert, whose bloodline had awakened the power of an ancient immortal giant beast, had been slain on the spot. Having reached the second realm of the immortal realm, Li Weiyi's spiritual chi had grown immensely, allowing him to activate the myriad inscriptions artifact's true power with far greater ease. It could be said that Li Weiyi had finally mastered the myriad inscriptions artifact's basic applications. Any other cultivator facing him without such an artifact would now be at a severe disadvantage. Far away, atop the city walls, three heavily wounded demon clan experts watched the scene unfold, their hearts torn between grief and rage, their minds gripped by terror and panic. The beautiful Ibis clan demon cultivator said, "Let's go to Nether Spiritual Mountain." Among the entire demon clan, only Kai Yuan can suppress Li Weiyi now. Whoosh! Li Weiyi darted across the water's surface, retrieved a boundary pouch crafted from his transcendent chi-si, and stored the massive corpse of the six-colored peacock within. The Purple Heaven Thunder Seal descended, hovering above his head like a violet sun in the sky, radiating boundless divine power. On the shore, Xuanhuan stood tall and resolute, his eyes unwavering and bloodthirsty. Unintimidated by Li Weiyi, he formed a battle formation with the 5-peak Third Immortal Realm experts of the Frontier Army beside him. Black armor on the 6 warriors erupted with identical formation scripts, coalescing into a formation plate several meters in diameter. Xuanhuan, positioned at the center of the combined attack formation, his expression cold and solemn, shouted with mocking praise, "With your current cultivation, I doubt anyone in the Void Ruins ancient kingdom can match you in a one-on-one fight. But dare you test your mettle against us? Blank." End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 6, Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 77, 618, The Border Army's Battle Formation. 77th of Volume 6. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Li Weiyi understood his own capabilities clearly and remained composed, refusing to be swayed by their words. He stood effortlessly on the water's surface, smiling, "The Border Army battle formation is formidable, I'm no match for it. But maintaining such a formation must consume vast amounts of spiritual chi, right? I'll wait until your reserves are depleted before engaging you." His words exposed another weakness of the combined strike battle formation, its lack of mobility. By keeping his distance and employing hit-and-run tactics, Li Weiyi could exhaust them completely. This was a psychological battle. Even without the battle formation, the 6 Demon Kingdom warriors were confident they could capture Li Weiyi through teamwork. They were no disorganized rabble like the demon race, who fought as individuals. However, killing Li Weiyi would undoubtedly cost them 2 or 3 lives. By pointing out their weaknesses, Li Weiyi aimed to force them to abandon the formation and retreat in defeat. The Sentinel Spirit Army's garrison is under attack by the Taiyan sect and the Nether Realm of the Dead, Xuanhuan countered, highlighting Li Weiyi's precarious situation to demonstrate his own strategic acumen. They likely won't hold out much longer. Then I thank my Demon Kingdom friends for joining me in striking down this great enemy, the Dead Spirit. Li Wei leapt across the water's surface, his figure vanishing into the forest on the opposite bank as he raced toward the Sentinel Spirit Army's garrison. Spatial evasion consumed too much spiritual qi. Once he clashes with the experts from the Taiyan sect and the Nether Realm of the Dead, he'll find it impossible to escape. We must eliminate him today, before he can hide away and break through to the peak of the third immortal realm. If that happens, he'll become a true menace. A sinister smile crept across Xuanhuan's lips, his eyes gleaming with murderous intent. He led 5 border army powerhouses in a combined attack formation, pursuing Li Wei relentlessly. The Immortal Realm martial mystic cultivators of the Rice Palace all recognized Li Wei's precarious situation and could foresee the unfolding events. Even Jiyu Junxiang, in such a predicament, might struggle to escape unscathed. The purple-robed woman remarked, Li Wei has no weaknesses in cultivation, but he has human flaws. If it were Jiyu Junxiang or Chu Yutian, Xuanhuan's tactic would be utterly useless. I see it as a testament to human brilliance. Wu Hongling countered, Jiyu Junxiang's aloof arrogance and Chu Yutian's twisted selfishness. I wouldn't dare approach either of them, let alone admire them. The purple-clad woman glanced at her. You're starting to take a joke too seriously. A heavens chosen like Li Wei must have devoted most of his emotions to the martial mystic Dao. Stirring his true feelings won't be easy. Easy things bore me. Wu Hongling retorted, her rebellious spirit rising against her sister's words. Li Wei moved through the forest shrouded in nether spiritual blue mist, his senses extended in all directions, alert to every sound and movement. He could perceive both overt and hidden dangers, discerning enemies lurking in the shadows. In truth, he didn't believe the Nether Realm of the Dead in Chun City possessed the strength to breach the Sentinel Spirit Army's garrison. His true aim was to lure the Demon Kingdom's border army battle formation into the forest, using the complex terrain to neutralize their superior numbers and tactics. They're coming. Li Wei sensed a powerful qi rapidly approaching from the direction of the Sentinel Spirit Army's garrison, already 4 or 5 miles away. This qi far surpassed even the 6-colored peacocks. Li Wei immediately changed course, heading toward Void Ruins. Void Ruins radiated a boundless aura, its eternal radiance imbued with a mysterious energy that warped time and space, an entity clearly not of this world. From a distance, Li Wei estimated Void Ruins to be a planet approximately 100 miles in diameter, a perfectly spherical orb devoid of impact craters but marked by mountain ridges, fissures, and basins. Chun City had been built around it, forming a colossal ring-shaped metropolis. The 10-mile-wide waterway dividing Chun City into eastern and western halves flowed directly beneath Void Ruins. There, a vast wetland stretched for hundreds of kilometers, its bright pools reflecting the dark, low-lying mountains. A luminous mist permeated the air, giving rise to rivers of radiant flames that snaked across the landscape. On some of the low hills stood ancient, dilapidated structures, archways, palaces, and ancient pavilions, their forms hazy and mysterious in the misty waves. These structures had existed for 20,000 years, once symbols of splendor and prosperity. The scene was deeply awe-inspiring, igniting a burning desire for exploration. It was here that the great Chun tree, once a celestial tree, had grown. Li Wei burst through a dense grove of ancient trees, the wind carrying a flurry of fallen leaves, and immediately halted. On the hilltop ahead stood Luo Yinji, her slender figure, full chest, and delicate waist framed by an elegantly held parasol. The full moon behind her enveloped her completely, transforming her into an ethereal immortal maiden of the moon. Unfazed, Li Wei smiled and asked, May I ask, Miss Luo, how you always manage to predict my movements? What if I had fled the city? Wouldn't you have waited in vain? Beneath her veiled face, Luo Yinji's lips parted slightly. The closer you get to the Void Ruins, the more complex the environment becomes, which only benefits you. Now that your cultivation has broken through and your confidence has soared, how could you possibly flee the city? You'll inevitably use the terrain to find an opportunity to counterattack and completely resolve this. Before she could finish, Li Wei had already unleashed the Purple Heaven Thunder Seal. Luo Yinji, ranked first among the Tai Yin envoys, had only lost by a narrow margin when facing Tang Wanzhou, who was in the early stages of the Third Immortal Realm. She was far superior to the 6-colored peacock. The 6-colored peacock would have been fortunate to withstand even a few strikes from Tang Wanzhou. Like those who survived 2 or 3 moves from Jiyu Junxiang at the same cultivation level, they would have considered it a source of pride and glory, earning them renown throughout the realm. The number 1 scholar's scale does not weigh the mediocre. Unwilling to directly confront the Purple Heaven Thunder Seal, Luo Yinji's scripture-inscribed robes shimmered as she vanished behind the hill. Boom! The Purple Heaven Thunder Seal crashed down, sinking the hilltop several feet. Thunder and lightning surged across the mountain, enveloping it in a radiant, web-like network. Li Wei, using the myriad inscriptions artifacts origin power like this will quickly deplete your spiritual qi, Luo Yinji's ethereal voice echoed, now distant, now near, now above, now below, making it impossible to discern whether she had burrowed underground. Rustle. From the dense forest behind him, a cloud of ink-like ghostly energy surged forth. Seizing the moment Li Wei unleashed the purple heaven thunder seal, the four-eared ghost monkey Marquis emerged from the ghostly energy cloud, his Vajra pestle shooting forth like an arrow. Elite cultivators understood the art of seizing opportunities. The Vajra pestle, roughly 2 feet long, featured a razor-sharp spearhead at one end and a grotesque Buddhist idol at the other, bearing the heads of a man, a pig, and a lion. As it flew forth, the Vajra pestle emitted a piercing, soul-shattering shriek that affected the spirits of humans, pigs, and lions. Countless Buddha silhouettes surged behind it, as if all the deities in the heavens had joined forces to subdue Li Wei. The four-eared ghost Marquis, having earned the right to participate in the siege against Bai Chuan, the foremost expert of the Sword Dao Imperial Court, possessed an extraordinary origin tied to the corpse of a Buddha in ancient Yi City. Among the marquises of ancient Yi City, he ranked second in combat prowess, surpassed only by Bai Yi Qinglian. The Vajra pestle's trajectory shifted unpredictably. Li Wei knew that dodging would only trap him in a perpetual defensive disadvantage. Instead, he shifted his stance, a Buddhist Dao imprint materializing on his left palm as he unleashed the spirit treasure seizing hand technique. He transformed into a thousand-handed Tathagata, his myriad hand shadows and the swirling chi in his palm suppressing the Vajra pestle's power and forcing it toward the ground. Just as he was about to seize it, the four-eared ghost monkey Marquise's true form materialized. Channeling the power of the celestial Buddha silhouettes, he unleashed a mountain-shattering palm strike, its force like a divine mountain crashing down. The roar was deafening, the palm wind ear-splitting. Li Wei had anticipated this. His right hand released the yellow dragon sword, which transformed into a yellow dragon, its head raised and claws extended, colliding with the palm strike. Boom! The four-eared ghost monkey Marquis let out a shrill cry and retreated, wary of touching the yellow dragon sword. He dodged swiftly, muttering, "This sword is definitely something special, just like the legends say, untouchable. With such a powerful weapon to counter dead spirits, he's going to be tough to deal with." Luo Yinji floated gracefully from behind a hill, a beam of finger force slicing through the night sky. The Vajra pestle continued to spin rapidly. Li Wei abandoned his attempt to retrieve it and instead lashed out at Luo Yinji. His strike sent not only the Vajra pestle hurtling forward, but also the Buddhist Dao imprint glowing on his palm. The Vajra pestle was struck by the finger force and sent flying sideways with a boom. The Buddhist Dao imprint transformed into a rapidly spinning shield, shattering the finger force and pressing down on Luo Yinji. Sensing the Demon Kingdom's 6 elite warriors closing in rapidly, Li Wei decided to avoid prolonged combat with the four-eared ghost monkey Marquis and Luo Yinji. He summoned the yellow dragon sword and purple heaven thunder seal, then sped toward Chun's. The four-eared ghost monkey Marquis retrieved his Vajra pestle and watched Li Wei's retreating figure. "I have a feeling this kid was specially trained by some old monster to deal with the nether realm of the dead. He's covered in thorns. Even when fighting Bai Chuan, I didn't feel this kind of danger. Should we just leave him to Chu Yutian?" Luo Yinji gazed at the demonic cloud surging from the forest. "Someone seems even more eager to deal with him than we are. How intriguing. Let's sit back and watch the tiger fight, waiting for the perfect opportunity." Demon Kingdom representatives, Li Wei poses a grave threat. "Until he's dead, we'll stand by your side. Don't waste your energy guarding against us, focus all your efforts on him." Xuanhuan shot them a cold glance, recognizing their scheme to reap the benefits of others' labor. He decided to play along. "Then help us restrain him first." "Very well." Luo Yinji and the four-eared ghost monkey Marquis flashed out like streaks of light, flanking Li Wei from left and right. After traversing the city domain in dense forest, Li Wei entered Chun's. As the nether spiritual chi receded, his vision expanded dramatically. He landed atop the stone pillar of a ward archway on a desolate hill, his aura radiating brilliance that rivaled the bright moon. His voice boomed across the land, "Xuanhuan, you've allied with the Taiyan sect and the nether realm of the dead to attack the Sentinel Spirit Army. Do you really think the Crown Prince of the Demon Kingdom can protect you?" Xuanhuan remained silent, knowing that the victor writes history. "Hand over the heavenly spiritual child, and I'll leave immediately. Otherwise, the Demon Kingdom will demand justice. Aren't you afraid I possess life-saving techniques bestowed by the Grand Palace Master?" Li Wei asked, his voice low and ominous. A Demon Kingdom border army expert retorted, "If you truly possessed such formidable methods, why would you have jumped into the sacrificial pit? Your repeated threats are no different from those of the demon cultivators we faced earlier, revealing the true nature of your inner fear." "You're remarkably perceptive," Li Wei replied, continuing his advance. With the assistance of Luo Yinji and the four-eared ghost monkey Marquis, the Demon Kingdom's 6 elite warriors swiftly caught up to Li Wei. They rapidly deployed a battle formation, the formation plate expanding to a diameter of 100 zhong, trapping him within its confines. Li Wei unleashed a full-powered sword strike, attempting to shatter the formation and break free. A border army expert intercepted his attack with a halberd. The formation plate channeled the spiritual chi and immortal scripture of the other 5 warriors into him. Instantly, the border army expert's battle prowess surged, transforming him into a war god who forced Li Wei back. Luo Yinji and the 4-eared ghost monkey Marquis stood on opposite sides of the battle formation, their gazes burning like torches as they relentlessly monitored the situation within. Should Li Wei show any sign of breaking through, they would immediately intervene to drive him back. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 78, 619, Earth Lion Technique. 78th of Volume 6. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. What a formidable battle formation. As expected, armies are the true power. No matter how strong one's cultivation, they will be crushed, the 4-eared ghost monkey Marquis remarked. Luo Yinji replied, he still has at least 2 trump cards he hasn't used, the psychic martial mystic secret technique and the battle corpse puppet he used to capture Qingzhao. If nothing unexpected happens, this battle will likely end in mutual destruction. Is that possible? The 4-eared ghost monkey Marquis asked skeptically. He found it hard to believe that Li Wei, still in the early 3rd immortal realm, could achieve such a level of combat prowess. Within the battle formation, Xuanhuan charged forward with his blade, his movements like a dragon and a tiger. With a single strike, he cleaved through the crimson energy barrier. Li Wei immediately dodged, unwilling to meet the blow head-on. Empowered by the combined strike formation, Xuanhuan's combat strength surged to the great immortal level. Each strike was a sweeping, earth-shattering blow, capable of splitting mountains and cleaving through the heavens. Soon, Li Wei found himself in increasingly dangerous straits. Luo Yinji frowned, something's wrong. Li Wei shouldn't be able to evade so many strikes. Logically, under the combined pressure of the battle formation and the 6 battle intent projections, he shouldn't be able to dodge a single blow. He should be forced to endure them head-on and die, the 4-eared ghost monkey Marquis said. I understand now. Luo Yinji exclaimed, turning her gaze toward Void Ruins, I know why Li Wei lured the 6 Demon Kingdom warriors here, it's Void Ruins, spatial pressure. That invisible force slows the movement of the formation scriptures within the battle formation and drains the spiritual chi of the Demon Kingdom warriors. Behold my ultimate puppet war corpse. Li Wei declared in a low voice, tossing Shang Wulian from his boundary pouch. Xuanhuan, aware of the potency of Li Wei's spells, dared not underestimate the threat. He channeled his spiritual chi and swung his blade at the approaching battle corpse. Shang Wulian, immobilized by Li Wei's immobilization talisman, was now truly himself, his pupils dilated. Within those pupils, the blade's radiance surged like an overwhelming tide. Damn it, it's Shang Wulian. By the time Xuanhuan realized this, it was already too late. The force of the strike was devastating, cleaving Shang Wulian's physical body in 2. The transcendent spiritual chi and transcendent scriptures within his ancestral field erupted outward. For a master of Xuanhuan's caliber, a single breath of transcendent spiritual chi posed no real threat. But when unleashed directly before him, without warning, it was an entirely different matter. Xuanhuan reacted with extraordinary speed, activating the life-saving measures embedded in his psychic armor even in this critical moment. Instantly, dense patterns of talisman light materialized across the armor's surface. Boom. Xuanhuan was hurled backward, the talisman light on his armor rapidly dimming. The formation scriptures etched into the armor also flickered and faded. The formation plate of the combined strike formation began to tremble violently. Seizing the opportunity, Li Wei unleashed the purple heaven thunder seal, transforming it into a house-sized vortex of thunder and lightning. Its primal power coalesced into a blinding thundercloud, striking a peak 3rd immortal realm borderlands expert with such force that the man coughed up blood and was sent flying like a cannonball. The body within the armor was charred and convulsing, its life force rapidly draining away. Don't mind me. Control the battle formation. Don't panic. Xuanhuan roared, launching himself into the air the moment he landed and slashing his blade at Li Wei. A gap had opened in the battle formation, and as its leader, Xuanhuan had to restrain Li Wei to buy time for the remaining 4 to regroup. But the breach had already been made. Li Wei wouldn't give him a chance. With a single step of yellow dragon ascending to heaven, Li Wei's figure shot upward at an angle, dodging the blade's strike and ascending higher than Xuanhuan. He then unleashed the Tai opens the sea technique, his blade descending like a crashing wave. So fast. This time, Xuanhuan lacked the battle formation's power to aid him. Forced into a corner, he could only activate the talismanic runes on his armor once more. Boom. The sword radiance struck Xuanhuan, sending him plummeting into the swamp below. The entire swamp was cleaved in 2 by the sword chi, leaving a sky-high trail of water. Thanks to the life-saving runes, Xuanhuan emerged unscathed and swiftly rose to his feet. Li Wei was besieged by 4 border powerhouses, failing to capitalize on his momentum and deliver a decisive blow. Worse, their combined strike formation had completely collapsed, the formation plate shattered. A chill ran down Xuanhuan's spine as a premonition of disaster struck him. Ordering a retreat now was utterly impossible. Their only option was to fight to the death. Despite their current disadvantage, they still held the upper hand. Retreating would turn their path back to the Demon Kingdom's garrison into a death march, with Li Wei harvesting their lives one by one. Having risen through the ranks, Xuanhuan knew better than anyone the combat effectiveness of a routed army. He deliberately lured us this far from the garrison to cut off our escape and slaughter us all. How arrogant. Realizing Li Wei's strategy, Xuanhuan roared, "Today, we fight to the death. There is no retreat. Cowardice leads to defeat, valor to victory." Absolute darkness domain. The dark power of the sacred dark family erupted from Xuanhuan, engulfing Li Wei in a shroud of darkness. Li Wei couldn't help but admire Xuanhuan's strategic acumen. He desperately wished Xuanhuan would order a retreat, preferably a scattered one. From the beginning, his sole target had been Xuanhuan. He had no interest in killing the others. But the enemy forces were well coordinated, battle-hardened, and now fighting with desperate resolve, their morale soaring. This had become a very troublesome situation. The absolute darkness domain descended, but Li Wei, experienced in such matters, immediately unleashed his 4-colored spiritual light, condensing it into psychic armor. As he countered the darkness, his martial mystic aura surged to its peak. Li Wei had originally intended to avoid using psychic martial mystic techniques against these opponents. After all, though both were in the second immortal realm, Li Wei's martial mystic path prowess far surpassed his psychic power. Even combining the two wouldn't significantly enhance his combat strength. Sizzle. Whoosh. Refusing to give the 5 opponents a chance to coordinate their Dao techniques, Li Wei exploited his superior speed and agility to weave through their ranks, engaging them in close-quarters combat. Apart from Xuanhuan, none of the other 4 could withstand a single strike from Li Wei's sword, each being sent staggering backward or flying through the air. Had Luo Yinji and the 4-eared ghost monkey Marquis not circled the battlefield, poised to strike at any moment, Li Wei might have already crushed them. "Luo Yinji, are you still not going to act?" Xuanhuan roared. Luo Yinji replied calmly, "You haven't yet created an opportunity worthy of our intervention." She wasn't foolish. If she and the 4-eared ghost monkey Marquis intervened now, the Demon Kingdom's 5 warriors would undoubtedly retreat, leaving them to watch the tigers fight from the sidelines. Luo Yinji sensed an incredibly swift aura rapidly approaching. It's Wenren Hai. He's actually entered the city. No wonder Xuanhuan was so fearless, unafraid of us lurking behind. It seems they sent a signal talisman long ago, summoning the Heavenly Emperor's disciple to take command, the 4-eared ghost monkey Marquis remarked. Today, there would be no opportunity to kill Xuanhuan. Sensing Wenren Hai's vital energy, the heavenly sword talisman between Li Wei's brows erupted, transforming into a torrential river of talisman rain that blanketed the sky and crashed down upon a heavily wounded peak 3rd Immortal Realm Frontier Army soldier. More than 20 heavenly sword talismans shattered, while 30 more dimmed before finally piercing the soldier's defenses and sending him flying. Seizing the opportunity, Li Wei broke through the encirclement, drew his sword, retracted the talismans, and fled into the night, his footsteps echoing with the cicada's cry. The peak 3rd Immortal Realm Frontier Army soldier lay sprawled on his back, collapsing into the water with a splash. 2 talismans were embedded in his throat and between his brows, blood gushing from the wounds. "Where do you think you're going?" The 4-eared ghost monkey Marquis, wielding a Vajra pestle, struck at the fleeing Li Wei with one end of the 3-headed Buddha statue, attempting to intercept him. Instantly, a mountain-sized 3-headed Buddha statue materialized, looming like a sleeping Buddha pressing down from above. Li Wei's gaze darkened. Spiritual chi and spiritual light coalesced around him, forming a 3-jong tall wrathful Vajra that erupted with 10,000 jong of Buddhist light. The 2 Buddhist figures clashed with a deafening roar, shattering the 3-headed Buddha statue's luminous projection. In the next instant, Li Wei's true form materialized before the 4-eared ghost monkey Marquis. With a swift slash of his Dao sword, he cleaved through the ghost chi and struck the Marquis, sending it tumbling backward. The 4-eared ghost monkey Marquis let out a wretched shriek as a burning sword chi seared its flesh, inflicting pain it had never known before. Luo Yinji arrived, her umbrella spinning through the air. Instantly, a torrential rain of talismans erupted, scattering like raindrops across the sky. Li Wei had already seen Wenren Hai burst through the blue mist of nether spiritual chi. His body was divided into black and white halves, his feet planted on a yin-yang diagram, and his long hair streamed straight back in the wind. With each stride, he crossed mountains and spanned lakes. Forward. Li Wei veered eastward, away from the void ruins, executing a series of rapid teleportations. Each teleportation allowed him to evade Luo Yinji, who pursued relentlessly, denying her any chance to engage him. Shui Sangguan trailed closely behind Luo Yinji. To be honest, among all of you, I'd most like to fight you one-on-one, Li Wei remarked casually, even in this perilous moment. There's no need to fight, Luo Yinji replied, with your psychic martial mystic fusion, you're stronger than me. I'm not concerned with winning or losing. I want to expose your true nature and see if you're truly Luo Yinji. No matter how perfect your disguise, the dead spirit can't be revived. Earth Lion Technique. With these words, Li Wei unleashed the 11th technique from the Chan sect's 12 dispersed hands. Li Wei stood in a horse stance, his hands reaching forward as spiritual qi surged from his palms. He dove downward. Whoosh. He vanished into the earth, the soil beneath him coalescing into a massive earth lion. Strands of spiritual qi transformed into reins, propelling the creature forward at breakneck speed. This was the earth evasion technique. By the time Li Wei burst from the ground, he had escaped the oppressive intent of the assembled experts. Activating the governor's official robe, he executed space evasion, returning to the Sentinel Spirit Army's encampment. The Tai Yin sect and dead spirit experts had already retreated from outside the encampment. Li Wei crashed through the formation's shimmering barrier, his body drenched in blood and his face deathly pale. He tossed the yellow dragon sword aside with a clang, his legs buckling beneath him as he collapsed to the ground. The three within the formation startled and immediately rushed to his side. Li Wei, don't scare me like that. Qing Zijian's eyes welled with tears as she knelt down and reached for his chest. Li Wei immediately seized her hand, gently pressing it against his heart. So holy spiritual master, check for death by feeling for a pulse. If you wanted to take advantage of me, just say so. You wouldn't dare touch me like this normally, would you? Seeing him still able to tease her, Qing Zijian yanked her hand away and kicked him. Don't you ever scare me like that again. Miss Qing is absolutely right, Chang Yujian said, you startled even me just now. I thought you wouldn't even have time to say your last words. Are you badly injured? The injuries aren't too bad, Li Wei said, it's mostly other people's blood. The real problem is that my spiritual qi is almost completely depleted. I'm so exhausted I can barely stand here talking to you. Let me lie down for a bit. Lu Yi asked, what exactly happened? Why is there fighting everywhere? Outside the formation's shimmering barrier. Li Wei, come out and answer. Why did you kill 2 of the Demon Kingdom's frontier army elites? Wenren Tinghai descended gracefully outside the Sentinel Spirit Army's encampment, tossing the corpses of 2/3 Immortal Realm Peak Frontier Army soldiers from his hands onto the ground. His cold, arrogant demeanor radiated righteous indignation. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 6. Battle for the True Inheritance. Chapter 79, 620 demanding an explanation. 79th of Volume 6. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Chang Yujian's gaze darkened sharply. His first thought was that Wenren Tinghai was trying to frame them, seeking a pretext to attack the Sentinel Spirit Army. Miss Qing, maintain the formation, he ordered. Chang Yujian strode to the inner side of the garrison gate, his eyes meeting Wenren Tinghai's through the formation light veil. His face was sinister and effeminate. The Demon Kingdom's methods have always been condemned by the world, but at least we never deny that our actions are demonic, not saintly. Wenren Tan serving the Crown Prince to deal with Li Wei is understandable, everyone knows you're acting under orders. But as long as Li Wei is on sentinel duty, attacking him means declaring war on the Sentinel Spirit Army, and on the entire world. Settle grudges during sentinel duty, debate right and wrong outside the camp. We're currently stationed in the Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom, monitoring the Nether Realm of the Dead for anomalies. If you dared to attack our Sentinel Spirit Army garrison, if even a single official files a memorial against you in court, you're finished. The Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom naturally had no garrison, nor were they here on sentinel duty. However, given the Taiyan sect and Nether Realm of the Dead's recent abnormal activities, the Cave Void Camp held the right to interpret the situation. With Li Wei's merit in slaying multiple fallen spirit marquises and Tai Yin envoys, the Cave Void Camp had ample justification for their actions. Immediately afterward, Chang Yujian continued, as an imperial disciple, you need not resort to honorable methods, but at least show some intelligence and strategy that commands respect. This crude attempt to frame Li Wei is laughable. Who would believe such a flimsy fabrication? It truly makes me despise you. Chang Yujian, of course, didn't believe it. The Border Army's 10 greatest experts had been selected through rigorous military competitions, each a seasoned warrior. Could Li Wei, with his current cultivation level, possibly have killed them? Moreover, with Wenren Tinghai present, Chang Yujian found the claim even more absurd. The most likely scenario was that the 2 border army powerhouses had fallen in the struggle for the Millennium Essence Herb, either to dead spirits or demon race forces. Wenren Tinghai had seized this opportunity, using the corpses as leverage to fabricate a legitimate reason to attack Li Wei. Wenren Tinghai's eyebrows furrowed sharply, nearly meeting at the bridge of his nose, as he suppressed the urge to strike Chang Yujian down on the spot. You truly excel at twisting truth into falsehood. The border armies fallen are a national tragedy. Don't forget you won't be guarding this post forever, you'll eventually return to the Demon Kingdom. The border army's deaths lie at the feet of their commanders, Xuanhuan retorted. If you hadn't been so greedy, they wouldn't have died. Xuanhuan and 3 other border army experts arrived outside the Sentinel Spirit Army's encampment. Xuanhuan, Xuanhuan said, if you're still a martial mystic cultivator of the Demon Kingdom, open the formation and hand over the murderer. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. Why don't you try being impolite? Xuanhuan retorted, showing no fear. As long as he was in the right, he wouldn't hesitate to take the case all the way to Xiaoyao capital. When Tinghai stopped Xuanhuan, who was about to attack, and raised his voice with a forced smile, Li Wei, you slew the 6-colored peacock and broke through the border army battle formation. Your cultivation must have reached the 3rd immortal realm. With such power, why can't you even answer a simple question? Xuanhuan frowned slightly, sensing that Wen Tinghai wasn't trying to flatter him to death. Li Wei wearily rose to his feet and walked forward. Wen Tan, what guidance do you offer? Wen Tinghai clasped his hands behind his back, his long hair swaying in the breeze. You stole the Millennium Essence Herb from the Demon Kingdom and killed 2 of the border army's strongest warriors, that was your skill. If you can defeat me in battle, the Demon Kingdom will drop this matter. Otherwise, even if you're a Sentinel Spirit Army soldier, the Demon Kingdom will avenge this debt. A life for a life, is the greatest law under heaven. Li Wei chuckled, as expected of an imperial disciple, a master strategist. If I lose this duel, death is certain. Even if I win, I'll still face a siege by the Demon Kingdom's elite warriors. Because by fighting, I'd be admitting to the false accusation of stealing the essence herb, handing you the moral high ground. The Tao is worthless if you cling to it as your sole weapon. But when placed on the table alongside other chips, it becomes more valuable than heaven itself. Wen Tinghai cut straight to the point. After all this talk, you're just afraid, aren't you? Afraid? Not at all. Li Wei raised his hand, signaling the 3 Sentinel Spirit Army members who were about to intervene to stand down. Give me a year and a half. In 18 months, we'll settle this once and for all, life or death. Do you dare? Very well. I'll wait. The Demon Kingdom's delegation departed from the Sentinel Spirit Army's encampment. Wen Tinghai led the group, his eyes dark and focused. He had a clear understanding of the 6-colored peacock's strength, the border army battle formation's power, Luo Yinji's cunning, and the 4-eared ghost monkey Marquise's ferocity. If he were in Li Wei's position, he doubted he could have escaped back to the encampment under such a formidable formation. Wen Tinghai was supremely confident in his ability to defeat Li Wei in a direct confrontation. But what would happen in a year and a half? By then, Li Wei would have refined at least 3 Dragon Soul origin lights, elevating his cultivation to the mid-stage of the 3rd immortal realm. What chance would Wen Tinghai have then? Even Wen Tinghai, with all his arrogance and the weight of his noble lineage, had to acknowledge Li Wei's unparalleled genius. Only a superior cultivation realm could hope to defeat him. For an imperial disciple, admitting this was a bitter pill to swallow. Xuanhuan sensed Wen Tinghai's unease. This boy is a freak, with endless tricks up his sleeve. He escaped from the sacrificial pit, not only surviving but also advancing his cultivation significantly. Now that we have the justification, we should immediately mobilize all the border army's experts, arm them with major artifacts, and storm his position to suppress him. We absolutely cannot give him another year and a half to cultivate. Storm his position. Wen Tinghai stopped walking and turned to Xuanhuan, launch a full-scale attack on a human race outpost. Once the scales are tipped, even the crown prince will be implicated. You're handing the Chong clan a knife. Xuanhuan retorted, if he hides in the Sentinel Spirit Army's garrison, we'll be powerless to touch him. Wouldn't that only embolden his arrogance? Wen Tinghai gently waved his hand. First, he's far from invincible. Second, hiding in the Sentinel Spirit Army's garrison is more of a disadvantage than an advantage. Just because we dare not attack doesn't mean others won't. Xuanhuan said, the nether realm of the dead. Right, the Sentinel Spirit Army's garrison is a stationary target. What the Taiyan sect truly fears is Li Wei and his group hiding in the shadows, concealed from view. Now, the 3 factions are essentially in a stalemate. Wen Tinghai smiled. By now, the army of the dead should have thoroughly scouted the nether domain of Nether Spiritual Mountain. They could launch an attack on Chun City at any moment. If I were Chu Yudian, I would dispatch an elite force, moving undetected into the city, to swiftly breach the Sentinel Spirit Army's garrison. Once news of today's battle reaches Nether Spiritual Mountain, if Chu Yudian doesn't launch a decisive strike to eliminate Li Wei, he'll prove himself utterly incompetent. Haha, so all we need to do is sit back and watch the show. Xuanhuan said. Wen Tinghai remained silent. His mission was to capture Li Wei alive, to snatch him from Chu Yudian's grasp. The only way to achieve this was to seek out Jiyu Junxiang. But what could possibly move Jiyu Junxiang? A border army powerhouse with a sharp, dagger-like beard stepped forward. Wenren Tan, I am Huo Tingye. I've reached the peak of the third immortal realm for 25 years and have cultivated diligently in the Void Ruins ancient kingdom for 4 more. If I choose, I could break the 4th shackles soon. Kong Feng and Chu Hai were my sworn brothers, comrades in life and death. Their tragic deaths at Li Weiyi's hands demand vengeance. Reaching the 4th stage will cost me over 20 years of lifespan upon leaving. I ask for nothing more than an opportunity to meet His Highness the Crown Prince. Wenren Tinghai recognized that this border army powerhouse was gambling his future. Overjoyed, he clapped Huo Tingye on the shoulder with an air of camaraderie. Did you all see that? This is true loyalty, a man of unwavering integrity. Rest assured, Tingye, whether we capture Li Weiyi or not, I will personally report your actions to the Crown Prince. I'll guarantee this, the Wenren clan possesses abundant cultivation manuals and secret scriptures, as well as influential positions in the military. Let everyone here bear witness, the Demon Kingdom never neglects those who dare to fight. Huo Tingye immediately bowed in gratitude. Give Kong Feng and Chu Hai's cosmic pouches to Tingye. He deserves to inherit their wealth more than anyone else. Sentinel Spirit Army Garrison. While replenishing his spiritual chi, Li Weiyi inventoried his gains from the battle. The primary sources of his loot were the 6-colored peacock, Sheng Wulian, and a 3rd immortal realm Luan clan demon cultivator he had slain with his sword. He hadn't had time to collect the cosmic pouches of the other defeated experts. The value of the demon cores and immortal golden cores was self-evident. The spiritual artifacts and cosmic pouches contained priceless treasures such as Millennium Essence herbs, Nether Soul Divine Essence, and Spirit crystals. Surprisingly, the 6-colored peacock's cosmic pouch held 2 freshly harvested 5,000-year-old essence herbs, which Li Weiyi immediately gifted to 4th Phoenix and 5th Phoenixes. Combined, the 2 demons possessed 14 low-grade spiritual crystals, making them wealthier than Li Weiyi himself. This suggested that the demon race had secured special opportunities within the Void Ruins ancient kingdom. After restoring 80 to 90% of his spiritual chi, Li Weiyi emerged from his barracks. As expected, Chong Yujian, Qing Zijin, and Lu Yi were waiting outside, their expressions peculiar as they stared at him. Li Weiyi extended his senses, probing the garrison's surroundings. Instantly, the forest erupted with the sounds of footsteps and wind-parting movements. The martial mystic cultivators monitoring the Sentinel Spirit Army garrison were fleeing in terror. Li Weiyi's display of overwhelming power and released chi had already driven back the enemy. Li Weiyi activated the Purple Heaven Thunder Seal once more, unleashing its primal power. This time, even the 4-eared ghost monkey Marquis, who had been lurking in the shadows, immediately fled. The myriad inscriptions artifact's descent was impossible to catch and nearly impossible to evade. Don't look at me like that, Li Weiyi said with a smile. I killed those 2 Demon Kingdom border army soldiers, but I was the victim. Surrounded by them and Luo Yinji, what choice did I have but to fight back? Chong Yujian asked. They're openly collaborating with the Taiyan sect. What level of power have you reached to push them this far? Did you kill the 6-colored peacock? Lu Yi asked. Li Weiyi released the peacock's massive corpse, filling the entire courtyard like a shimmering, 6-colored mountain. While it's still fresh, Captain, cut off 100 or so pounds, clean it, and roast it. We can chat while we eat. Peacock meat from an ancient immortal giant beast bloodline tastes extraordinary. Brother Chong, you must have some wine, right? Qing Zijin approached the spot where the Purple Heaven Thunder Seal had blasted the peacock apart, staring intently with disbelief in her eyes. I'll handle this, Lu Yi said, drawing her spiritual artifact blade and stepping forward to carve the meat. In the Nether domain, after years of cultivation, they had subsisted on Blood Valley pills and precious medicinal fruits they had gathered. The roasted peacock meat needed no seasoning, its savory aroma filled the air, and everyone devoured it with gusto, savoring every bite. Chong Yujian even brought out his treasured fine wine. After hearing Li Weiyi's account, Chong Yujian's expression turned grave. We're in deep trouble. Qing Zijin wiped her mouth. Exactly. Everyone knows the Shaoyang division controls the Dragon Soul Source Light, which can boost your cultivation from the initial stage to its peak in just a few years. You're already so powerful, how could they possibly let you reach your peak? Maybe we should sneak out of Chun City while the observers are still frightened and go cultivate in another nether domain. Lu Yi suggested. Li Weiyi replied, hiding in the shadows is essential. But whether we should leave Chun City. What do you two think? Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.